what ultimately will happen with you, so that at the end, if you plead guilty, that I can make the representation and I'll signify that you do understand and that you're doing all this knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily. Is that clear?
I do understand, Your Honor.
And as I go forward, I've already told you, based upon the plea agreement and your understanding of the charges, you are not going to be released from prison. However, under Ohio law, there are some penalties and obligations that are attendant upon any plea for certain counts. So, for instance, I have to advise you about post-release control, when it's mandatory, when it's discretionary, length of time. I have to advise you about that, even though you're not getting out of prison. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but you understand, you'll let me know if you have questions about that, correct?
Yes.
Also, along with the plea, there's classifications as sexual offender. So this series of incidents occurred during a time where the law changed. So that it was Megan's Law up until January 1st, 2008, and after that it was Adam Walsh Act. So even though you won't be getting out of prison, I'm obligated to go over those issues with you prior to your sentencing, and you'll have to talk with your attorneys. I'll go over the forms with you. You can read them ahead of time if we are able to get them to you. And even though you're not getting out of prison, you have to understand the reporting requirements and sign a form. Is that clear?
He explained that to me earlier. Yes, it is clear.
Okay, thanks. Now I want to make sure that you understand the potential pleas here. The state is offering a plea bargain, and you've indicated that you wish to accept that, and as part of their plea bargain you would have to plead guilty. You also said their other type of plea would be a plea of no contest. Now, a plea of guilty is a complete admission of your guilt. A plea of no contest is not an admission of your guilt, but is an admission of the truth of the facts alleged in the indictment, and the plea or admission shall not be used against you in a subsequent civil or criminal proceeding. So those are the two pleas that are available to someone who wishes to resolve a criminal case by way of a plea. However, by virtue of the plea agreement, they are requiring that you plead guilty and accept guilt in this matter. Is that understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
I will be giving you a further instruction on this shortly, but I did want to go over it since it's very important. I'm sure you've talked with your attorneys about this, but you understand that you have that you are waiving your right to a jury trial by entering a plea, that you're waiving your right to confront witnesses against you, that you're waiving the right to compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in your favor, that you're waiving that you're waiving the right to require the state to prove your guilt beyond reasonable doubt at a trial, and you understand that you cannot be compelled to testify against yourself. Do you understand you're giving up all those specific rights by entering a plea?
I do, Your Honor.
And I will talk with you about those further. Mr. Castro, how old are you, sir?
53 years old.
How far did you go in school?
12th grade. I graduated from Lincoln West High School.
Which is near your house?
Yes.
And as you're here today, are you under the influence of any illegal drugs or alcohol?
No.
Do you take any prescription medications?
No.
None?
No, I have medication through my doctor here, but it's not prescription.
All right. But it doesn't affect your ability to think clearly or make a decision, correct?
That is correct.
Did you take any of the medicine yesterday?
Yeah, the medicine that they give me here.
All right. Well, for what particular condition?
High blood pressure, high cholesterol, and aspirin.
All right. So you're receiving those, but not anything that would affect your thinking or decision making, correct?
They tried to give me something for my allergies, but I said to them if it makes me drowsy, I would stop taking it. So that pill will probably, it would interfere, but I'm not taking it. So
All right,
the ones that I'm taking now do not interfere.
All right, so you have not taken the antihistamines or anything else recently?
That is correct.
Are you an American citizen?
Yes.
Where were you born?
Puerto Rico.
And when did you come to the Cleveland area?
To the Cleveland area? Around 1972.
Was Spanish your first language?
Spanish is my first language, but I understand English more because I was raised here most of my life.
Right. Do you even write Spanish anymore?
I write it, but I struggle, and I read and I struggle.
Right. But in English, are you fluent?
English, I'm very good at spelling and I'm very good at reading, but I can't comprehend because of, like I mentioned earlier, my addiction to pornography and my sexual problem has really taken a toll on my mind.
Okay. But in general, the things that you've had to deal with here, evidence, the charges, conversations with your attorneys, you've been able to understand the written material as well as the spoken material?
Yes, and I put my trust on them.
And you still have family in the area, is that correct?
That is correct.
Are you currently on probation, parole, or post-release control? Are you on supervision with any court or jurisdiction?
No.
I want to talk with you now about the plea agreement and some of the specifics. The state will be asking, as set forth in page 9,
Page 9.
for the court to dismiss a significant number of counts, and those would deal with an issue, a legal issue of merger. So they're going to ask me to dismiss those ultimately today after you've entered a plea. Are you aware of that?
How many are there? 30? 40? Yes, I am.
So 40 counts will be dismissed, and they anticipate you'll plead guilty to the remaining 937. Is that clear?
That is correct. I don't necessarily agree on 937, but I understand.
I'll tell you that's somewhat common in any plea negotiation in a criminal case or even a civil case. Usually neither side is perfectly happy, okay?
Okay.
But you're reaching this agreement of your own free will, is that correct?
That is correct.
And in conjunction with the advice of counsel?
Yes.
So you'll be pleading to the 937 counts. You're agreeing also to execute all necessary documents and to perform all acts necessary to transfer right, title, and interest in your real property at 2207 Seymour Avenue in Cleveland. And that will be transferred, I believe, to the county to go to the land bank. Is that correct?
It is. Yes, sir.
So you're agreeing to sign documents to turn your house over to the county land bank. Is that understood?
I understand, yes.
You're also agreeing to abide by the terms of a stipulated protective order. Is that understood?
Yes.
And you're agreeing not to seek profit from the commission of these offenses, and that was in compliance with this agreement and as disclosed for any items under the proffer agreement. In other words, you will not be permitted to profit from anything, any aspect of this case. Is that clear?
Yes, it is.
You understand that as part of the plea agreement, you'll also be forfeiting items of personal or real property and such to the state, and they're set forth in this agreement.
Did I get back? I do understand.
In particular, there is $22,268.83 of U.S. currency that will be forfeited. Again, the right, title, and interest you have in your real property. You will be receiving back, or your family will receive back on your behalf, family photo albums and clothing. Is that understood, that you're getting something back from this?
Yes, it is, but the currency does not sound right. I know there was more money than that in there.
I don't know what the inventory was. That's the amount of...
I'm just mentioning that there was more money than $22,000.
All right. Mr. McGinney, I'm sure you'll follow up on that.
Judge, we're going to tear down the house and we're going to look closely at everything that falls. If there's more, we plan on keeping it. Thank you.
And in fact, there will be a demolition of the house.
That's correct. Very soon.
And Mr. Castro, you understand that this is a recommended sentence to the court. If I would determine to accept it, then it would be imposed after sentencing hearing. If I would determine not to accept it, then the parties would be back at their original position, which would be this matter is set for trial on August 5th. Is that clear?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And you're agreeing as part of this settlement agreement that if the court does accept the recommendation, that you're going to receive the sentence that is set forth in this plea agreement. Is that clear?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Which is life without parole plus a minimum of 1,000 years. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that by entering into this agreement with the state that you're withdrawing and waiving any potential constitutional challenges about the gathering of evidence, and you're waiving any right to further testing of DNA evidence. Is that clear?
Yes, it is clear.
And again, the basis, as stated a few paragraphs before this, was that the state is giving up their right to seek the death penalty. Is that clear? That's what they're giving up in order to reach this bargain with you, and you're having to give up things too.
That's correct.